All right. Well, okay. Well, thank you everyone for coming to the 2020 NAFAPA business meeting. We would have liked to have this in person, of course. You know, with COVID and all, we're here, but we appreciate your time and coming to this virtual meeting. We have two things, general things to go over today. That is the NAFAPA Awards, which we elected to deliver despite not having a symposium this year. And then the last half of this meeting will be on NAFAPA business as usual. We will go over just general achievements of this cycle. We'll spend a considerable amount of time on modifications to the bylaws, mission and vision. And then we will talk about the next cycle looking forward and introduce the new board members. But otherwise, just the general format of this meeting, since this is a webinar, if you have any questions and you're not a panelist, please feel free to type those in the chat. We have board members who will be monitoring the chat and who will come in and interrupt when needed. But otherwise, thank you again for coming, and I will hand it over to Stamatis, the current president. You're muted, Stamatis. Feel free to unmute him. There we go. Still muted here. Let me unmute you. Unmute there.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. Do it.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Byron. Dear NAFAPA members and friends, good morning. Welcome to our business meeting. I'm Stamatis Agiovlidis, and over the last 2 years, I've had the pleasure to serve as the president of our organization. Despite our sadness for not having the NAFAPA symposium this October, we're very happy to have the opportunity to present this year's NAFAPA awards. 2 of these awards are presented for the first time, the Alan Burton New Investigator Award and the Dale Ulrich Leadership Award. We're very happy that we can present these 2020 awards in today's meeting. Without delay, I would like to turn it to our president-elect and incoming president for the next 2 years, Dr. Junko Yoon, who headed the committee for the Patricia Austin Graduate Student Research Award.
Good, JK?
Yeah, I did. Thank you. I have 3 monitors, and then actually, my computer was actually tweeted. So this time I'm moving front, and I had a difficult time navigating my mouse here. So anyway, thank you, Stamatis. This is my, I have been involved in NAFAPA since 1994. So Dale is here, and then it was my first presentation as a professional presentation. I made it as getting the field. So NAFAPA has been very important and very meaningful to me. And one of the clear mission of NAFAPA is, unlike other organizations, there are strong investment and the effort to cultivating future leaders and graduate students and recognizing those their graduate students in the end, culture building, they're conducting quality research. So, Donna will talk about a little bit more Pat Austin a little bit later, but this year's competition, actually there was applicant was a little bit smaller than typical, probably as due to the COVID, but what it was one of the most hardest decision we had made it because of the articles that submitted in both manuscripts are really great. And I thought when we had a few smaller number of the applicant, I thought the meeting will be ending soon, but I think we're spending entire time to discussing it, and eventually it ended up with a very close vote, and there are 2 and 2. And now I could understand why we need to have an odd number instead of an even number of the committee, because it was a very difficult decisions we made it. So I'm so excited to be recognizing it the Isabella Franzer Kim, which is from Michigan State, and her study was very unique talking about, well, I should be not talking about her study because she should be talking about her study, but they're really excited about how to working with or training for the non-specialist to helping children with disabilities. So further ado, the Donna will talk to you about a little bit about Pat Austin, and then we can introduce the Isabella.
Go for it, Ms. Burton. I'm sorry, Ms. Goodwin.
Good morning, everybody. It's a delight to see some of your faces again. It seems like a long time since I've seen some of you. I'm joining you from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, and like Joanne, where I am currently working, which is not right in town, we're under a significant snow advisory. So in fact, I had a difficult time getting online this morning, and if I cut out and I disappear, it's because I've lost my satellite internet. But enough about me. I would like to say what an honor it was to be part of the adjudication committee this year. It was a joy to read some of the work of our newer and newest researchers in our field. A little bit of background on the Pat Austin Award so that we can position this for this year's winner. The Pat Austin Graduate Student Award is offered for outstanding graduate student research in adapted physical activity. The award is adjudicated with representation from the University of Alberta in conjunction with the NAFAPA organizing committee. Pat Austin was a pioneer in the field of adapted physical activity in Canada. After completing her PhD at Michigan State, she was a faculty member at the University of Alberta 31 years before her untimely death due to cancer in 1978. I can tell you how old I am because I was on campus in 1978, but unfortunately I never had the opportunity to meet Dr. Pat Austin in person. Dr. Austin developed the first undergraduate concentration in adapted physical activity in Canada at that time, and contributed significantly to the development of physical education programs for people with impairments. She was also a major contributor to the development of Special Olympics in Canada. After her death, an endowment was set up in honor of Dr. Pat Austin, and it was headed up by Dr. Ted Wall, who was Dr. Austin's doctoral student at the University of Alberta. So we have the legacy of Dr. Austin's contributions to adapted physical activity in Canada through this award. And I'm very pleased to say that APA at the University of Alberta has not only persisted through the years, but in fact, it has grown in import and capacity. So I extend my congratulations on behalf of the entire organizing committee and the Pat Austin Foundation, or I guess we're not a foundation, what are we? We're a center now, to Dr. Isabella Felser-Kim. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I'm Isabella Felser-Kim, and I'm really honored to receive this award. I saw the last Pat Austin Graduate Student Research Award awarded last time, and I can't believe that I'm standing here now. So this study was part of my dissertation at Michigan State University, and the purpose was to kind of share fundamental movement skill instruction for children with autism through more of a wider platform. So what we did is we worked with ABA providers. So those are the therapists who provide behavioral therapy to children with autism, and they actually learned how to teach fundamental movement skills, and we were able to provide the therapy that way. So it was about sort of doing interdisciplinary collaboration to provide this training in a more accessible way. I would really like to thank some people, so my friends and family, as well as some of my mentors and colleagues. So Chelsea Adkins, Yume Liu, Leah Ketchison, Janet Hauk, Dale Ulrich, and the Early Learning Institute, which is who we partnered with for the ABA training. And then my advisor, Janet Hauk, who is amazing, and I can't begin to thank enough. I've learned an infinite amount from her, and she's one of the most empowering and clever people I know. So thank you so much to NAFAPA and to all of you. This is the award. Thank you again. Take care.
Awesome. Thank you, Isabella. So next we have the Alan Burton Investigator Award. That's Tomas, if you'd like to present.
Okay, thank you, Byron. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
Okay. Okay, I was very pleased to serve as head of the committee for the inaugural Alan W. Burton New Investigator Award. Members of the award committee were Dr. Barry LaVey from Cal State Long Beach, Dr. Sue Kasser from the University of Vermont, Dr. Megan McDonald from Oregon State, and Ms. Yumi Kim, NAFAPA student representative and doctoral student at the University of Alabama at Birmingham. Among several exceptional candidates, the committee unanimously selected Dr. Justin Hegel, associate professor now at Old Dominion University, as the first recipient of the Alan W. Burton Award. In the 6 years he received his PhD from The Ohio State University, Dr. Hegel has made significant and numerous early career scientific contributions to adaptive physical activity that clearly set him apart as one of our most promising researchers. Dr. Hegel is already a recognized leader in our field, and his achievements clearly indicate that he will continue to forcefully contribute to science in adaptive physical activity. Dr. Hegel is receiving an award in the name of one of the most passionate scientists in our field, Dr. Alan W. Burton, a prolific researcher who also served as NAFAPA president. With his carefully designed and theory-driven research, Dr. Burton gave a new direction to adaptive physical activity and inspired newer generations of scientists. With us today is Mrs. Joanne Burton, who will speak about Alan and present the award to Dr. Hegel. Thank you.
I believe you're muted, Ms. Burton. Not yet. You're gonna have to click on the bottom left. There.
All right. Thank you. Thank you to everyone. It is an extreme honor to be asked to speak about my husband, his work, and to present the inaugural award. Just briefly to introduce myself, once again, my name is Joanne Burton, and I am the widow of Alan Burton. Alan and I met in 1980 in California, where we both were teaching at a school for severely emotionally disturbed children. We shared the same passion for helping children overcome great challenges. Alan's enthusiasm for life touched my heart, and I was blessed to have known Alan for over 20 years. We were happily married, and we raised two fine sons, Eric and Mark Burton. Alan encouraged me to continue my education in special ed at the University of Minnesota after I suffered from a brain tumor in 1999. I was affected with aphasia as well as motor skill problems. And Alan was my motivator through the very difficult days and my greatest support when I was weak. 6 months after my brain surgery, Alan was diagnosed with cancer. We held on to each other as we both relied on our faith to be our strength. Alan always felt that it was very important to be present at the graduation ceremonies to acknowledge his students' accomplishments. And Alan was on stage at the Northrop Auditorium at the University of Minnesota when I crossed over to receive my master's in deaf education in the year 2000. I retired this May from teaching after 30 years. I have the honor to speak about my husband as a professional and my perspective on his work. Alan had a passion for encouraging others in reaching their highest potential by exciting them with knowledge. Alan provided educators and therapists with the tools needed to assess and promote continuing research in the field of adaptive physical education. His devotion was to the movement skills and task analysis. Alan thought outside the box as he was constantly observing and recording movement skills in others. Alan was an investigator, uncovering critical information and building on that with his own knowledge base to journal and record. His observations were continuous. Wherever he went, he was looking at the constraints of the environment, the individual movement skills, and the developmental stages of the individual needed to perform a physical task. When our firstborn was at the stages of crawling, Alan took our son Eric and put him on the moving walkway at the airport backwards to look at the constraints of the environment and how that affected Eric's crawling and motor skills. Alan was an innovator, an educator, an encourager, a mentor, a researcher, and one fine basketball player. Alan would always say to me, "Joanne, you never look at a person and you say that they have a disability. You say they have an ability, and then you build on that." His pursuit was to help others with challenges in order to adapt movement skills to accomplish the task. His faith is what propelled him in all that he accomplished. Alan's work outlived his life. In his book, Movement Skills Assessment, Alan quotes from the Bible, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom." Faith was very important to Alan, and that's what was integral in all that he did. It is now my honor to present Dr. Justin Hagel with the first Alan W. Burton New Investigator Award. May you continue to do individual research as well as collaborate with other professionals who have a passion to help individuals soar to reach their goals and be valued in society. May your work be fruitful to bless others, and may you be successful in all your endeavors in promoting scientific exploration in the area of adaptive physical education. My congratulations to you.
Thank you, Mrs. Burton. I don't know how I'm supposed to follow that speech. Once Stamatis told me that there was going to be a minute to talk, I immediately became anxious with the idea of any thank you or acceptance speech for an award. I don't think that what I do is an individual act. Everything I do is from learning from other people or working with other people in our field. And I mean, we look at the people who are in attendance today, and there's such a list of people who I learn from or get to work with on a regular basis. So rather than attempting to thank everybody for, molding me into the person who I am today and continuing to help mold me as a researcher or scholar or whatever the word is we're using at the time, elite basketball player, I guess, is something I have in common with your late husband. But rather than that, I actually thought I would share an email and a message I got right after learning I was going to receive this. And it was from Dr. Barry LeVay, who I thought I saw his name on the attendance list. But I didn't have a chance to get to know Barry while he was working, but it seems in retirement, I've gotten to know him quite a bit via email and Zoom. And he sent me a message a few weeks after I got the announcement I think it was from Stamatis. And he expressed his relationship with Alan and everything that he had done. And I took two things away from the message from Barry. And one was the passion that Alan had for the field and for what he did. And the other was that he challenged the field to look more closely at what they were doing. And in his aspect, it was assessment practices. And I'm reading this, I printed the email because if I tried to do this on a screen, two screens at once, I'd never be able to figure it out. But I think these two ideas of, demonstrating passion and then challenging the field on how the field thinks about things are important lessons for, younger scholars like myself, as well as other emerging scholars coming up through doctoral programs. And so I think in that memory of Alan, that's advice that I suppose could be shared moving forward to other emerging faculty. And so I want to thank you again. I was instructed from Stamatis to show this on the screen. It'll go hanging right above that whiteboard there momentarily. And I'll be proud to present that. And thank you again, Mrs. Burton, for all the knowledge and the information about your husband, so that those of us who didn't have a chance to meet him could get to know him a little bit through you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, Justin and Joanne. That was wonderful. It was lovely. Heidi, if you'd like to present the Dale Ulrich Leadership Award or get that started.
Sure, Byron. Thank you so much. Thank you all for being here today. It's so nice to come together, even if virtually, for us all. I'm looking at the attendance list, and to have almost 60 of us in this field come together from all over the world, Canada as well as the US, even Europe, and different time zones. I'm so grateful to see you all here today. As the past president of NAFAPA, I have the wonderful job of chairing the award committee for the Dale A. Ulrich Leadership Award. And as you may be aware, this is the first year that we are giving this award. It's the inaugural year. The Dale A. Ulrich Leadership Award is the most prestigious award offered by NAFAPA, and I'm absolutely delighted that in 2020 we'll be able to give this out to an unbelievably deserving individual. I'm going to get emotional because I'm so close to the winner. And that's my thing. I just get emotional. So just so you're aware, a little background, the Dale A. Ulrich Leadership Award is granted to an individual with a distinguished career of outstanding professional contributions to the field of adapted physical activity, and that those contributions may be in the areas of research, teaching, service, program administration, and clinical practice, among others. We're very fortunate to have Dale to give this award today, but I would like to take just a moment to acknowledge the contribution of Dale Ulrich to the field of adapted physical activity and to our organization. It goes without saying that Dale has been an extremely productive scholar and has prepared many of our current leaders and emerging leaders in the field of adapted physical activity. We were so delighted to have Dale agree to have this award in his name. Dale, it is your legacy within this organization that your work and your name will live on long after you retire. You've been such an integral part of this organization and of bringing the field of adapted physical activity forward. So I'm so delighted that you are here today to distill this honor on our winner. Just so that you're aware, the award committee consisted of myself, of Dr. Sue Kasser, of Dr. Dale Ulrich, and our student representative, Chloe Simpson. And we came together and we reviewed the nomination packets. And even though, as I just stated, the areas of contribution could be in research, teaching, service, program administration, clinical practice, any of those, I think Dale will take a moment when he presents this award to acknowledge that the winner of this award, in fact, has had a distinguished career of outstanding professional contributions really in all of these areas. So I was pleased to work with the committee, and I think it's best that I hand it over to Dale now, the namesake of this wonderful award, and just acknowledge how pleased I am on behalf of the officers of NAFAPA to have an honoree today in 2020. So I'll pass it off to you, Dale.
Thank you, Heidi. Can you hear me? Okay. Everyone that's involved in this meeting, I can't think of anyone that does the work for many, many hours that you work, all of the stresses and strains. And yes, there's a lot of positives, but there's lots of negatives when your papers are rejected and you've got to resubmit and all that stuff. That's just part of the world of academia. But we aren't in this to get awards. And so you don't think about that. The only time you might begin to think about it is when you get one, which usually means that you're pretty darn close to the end of your career. That's my interpretation, that you're getting close to retirement. And so awards have got to go to people and they decide, okay, you outlive people. And again, there's people that deserve this every bit as much as I may have. But I want to thank NAFAPA, Heidi, thank you, and Stamatis. I was totally surprised when I got your call asking me if I would mind that the award be named. And, well, I thought you twisted my arm. I thought it was a requirement, but thank you. I very much appreciate it. And so to give this award to Professor Vivian A. Temple makes me very happy. I've known Vivian for quite a few years, and looking at her CV and so forth was tiring. You know, at the end, I'm looking at all these publications, all these presentations, all the work that you've done. And that's a good thing, is a sense that when you get an award like that, it's got to be outstanding. And yours, by all means, is outstanding. And so, yes, this is an award. My understanding, this is the first time that it was being given. And my understanding is it recognizes long-term and sustained leadership in research, scholarship, and service. NAFAPA is a research organization, and I'm hoping everybody remembers that. There are many professional associations where you can present other kinds of scholarship, and you should. But when we do our symposium, we always have to remind people of the fact that this is a research conference. And so don't overburden the agenda with a lot of professional presentations. And so, yes, Vivian Temple, yes, I'm just proud of this award going to Vivian. Certainly, she's at the University of Victoria in Canada, which is quite a distance from Ann Arbor, but that's okay. We love Canadians. Her first presentation at NAFAPA was 1994. JK, you mentioned that you started attending, so you must have been there for the first time with Vivian. Unless I've missed it, I think that was your first presentation. And so you've been a long-term sustained member. And the one thing I do recognize before I continue with some of the outstanding productivity is you also are at many of the sessions. To me, that is what we should be doing. And not everybody does that. You go to a conference and then sometimes you disappear, depending on where it's at. You want to see the area, but you are at the sessions and you're motivated to ask questions and give feedback. And that's what we should do. That is true leadership. Your primary area of science is physical activity, physical fitness, and health promotion in individuals with an intellectual disability. There's a critical need for research in that area, obviously. Vivian, my last look, had 89 peer-reviewed journal articles, where she is the first and senior author of 55 of those. That's a large percentage. And so you've been very, very productive. Those papers appear in an excellent distribution of journals, which is good. So it's not just in our specialized journal or journals, you go beyond that. What I find even more amazing is you've collaborated with 80 people. I bet you can't name those all, but you've collaborated. You're a model of collaboration. And so to me, that recognizes true leadership, that people seek you out and you seek them out to collaborate. You have a high citation count. You may not know, you may know, but one of your earliest publications where you collaborated with somebody has 672 citations. It's the paper titled "A Clinical Test of Stepping and Change in Direction to Identify Multiple Falling Adults." The nice thing, one of the reasons it got so many citations, as we all know, when you publish in a medical related journal, you get a lot more readers rather than our specialized journal. But your second highest is 223 citations, which is a very high citation rate, is your paper on physical activity of youth with intellectual disabilities, review and research agenda. That has had an impact on my research. And so you've got a very high citation index, which is great. Vivian has served several times as journal special issue editor, which is a lot of work, where you have to organize the papers, you've got to get them reviewed, you've got to get them sent back, and you organize everything. A heck of a lot of work, and you've done that, from my count, at least 3 times. And so you've had a contribution there in terms of special issues in journals. You've made many research presentations at many different conferences, and that's where I said that I really started getting tired of looking at how many of those that you've done. You've also been invited to do several keynote addresses at research conferences, and you've been invited many, many times to be presenters and keynotes at community organization talks. That's where you have the biggest impact in the community, is going to those parent organizations, professional organizations, and being a keynote. And so that also is extremely recognizable. You've been elected to leadership positions in professional organizations, including NAFAPA, where you were the president-elect, president, and past president, where you organize conferences. And so you've, again, done a lot of professional scientific service, which I applaud you with. You and your collaborators have been very successful in securing the necessary funding to do your research. And we all know that's not easy. And yet, to do research where it's very, very important, where you need to get a large sample, you need funding. And so you've been very successful with your colleagues. I counted, and I'm sure this is not accurate, by well over $1.5 million in funding. But after a while, I stopped counting. And so I know you have at least that much funding. And so you need to be recognized for that. You've received several major awards for your scholarship, and one that I'm most familiar with and impressed with is in 2019, the Journal of Motor Learning and Development gave you the Excellence in Research Award, which is awarded to the best paper that year published in the journal. And so I know it was very competitive. And so, but it was a unanimous vote of the editorial board to award that to you. That speaks well for you, but it also benefits our group of adaptive physical activity professionals. So I thank you for that. Vivian also serves as a consultant on major national service projects and serves as a reviewer of many journals and grant applications. You are a gatekeeper. And that's a great role as you get experience in research, that you become a gatekeeper. Because as we all know, some research is excellent, some is average, but there are some that just need more work. And you served as a gatekeeper. And so we have to do that. It's not a role that we necessarily enjoy, because your review of these things always, without exception, comes at the worst time for you, when you have so much else on your desk to do. And so you've done an excellent job with that. So again, I am extremely proud to make this initial award to Professor Vivian A. Temple. Thank you.
unmute. Thank you very, very much, Dale, and Heidi for those kind words. No, I had no idea that I'd work with 80 different people, but that doesn't surprise me because that's where my work lives. I feel completely honoured to be receiving the NAFAPA Dale A. What is with the A? I've got an A in the middle. You've got an A in the middle.
Alan.
Alan, okay, Alan, and the Dale A. Ulrich Leadership Award, especially because it's named after you, Dale. I first met you in Norway, which was a while ago, and I was presenting the findings from my brand spanking PhD, and you struck me there as a very, very kind and interested person, and that has persisted across the whole time that I've known you. My most recent connection with you was this past Tuesday at the North American International Motor Development Research Consortium. And something you said there in one of your comments really struck me. In your closing remarks, you said that delegates, we need to mobilize our work with communities that we work with. And that, to me, sums up what research should be about, and also sums up what this leadership award is about. Because where the rubber hits the road is, what do we do with this work? Is it sitting on a shelf? Or is it in an academic journal? Those are great, having published, but we need to do more. And you reminded everybody, and for me, that is exactly what this is all about. If we're not making a difference in the world, then we really should rethink what we're doing. So, so as academics, that is what we need to do. And thank you for reminding the conference delegates of that. And I think you remind us of that all the time with your work and how you go about your work. I've been lucky in my colleagues, and particularly I want to mention Heidi Stanish, Georgia Fry, John Foley, Pally Rintala, and Megan Lloyd. Those collaborators out of the 80, I've worked with them a lot. And for me, the collaborations are what makes the research fun. And I do what I do because I want to make a difference in the world. But the way I do it, I think we need to enjoy our work and our colleagues. And those people in particular have made my journey very fun. I also want to express my profound gratitude to all of the individuals, families, and organisations who've participated in my work. And I really try hard to give back to every single person and every organisation that I work with, giving back individual results, giving back collective results to the organisations first, and then publish after that. That's the way I work. Without them, there would be no programs, no research, and no opportunity for me to show leadership. So I want to thank them in particular. And lastly, I want to especially acknowledge my husband, who many of you have met, my husband, Brad, who has supported me through everything, including moving halfway around the world. This is not a Canadian accent. So from Australia all the way to Canada. So he has supported me all the time. So thank you, everybody. And I want to acknowledge my mentors and colleagues, my graduate and undergraduate students that I work with, and most importantly, the participants and community with whom I work. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Temple. And we're going to conclude the awards section of this meeting, but I would just like to give a special shout out or special thanks to everyone who helped present the awards, Dr. Temple, Dr. Ulrich, Dr. Stanish, Dr. Hagel, Ms. Burton, Stamatis, Isabella, Dr. Goodwin, and Dr. Young. And thank you everyone for making this awards part very seamless. Oh, and yes, and Dr. Temple's presenting her award here. If you take a look, see. But otherwise, for those of you who want to bow out, who are
sorry, Byron.
Oh yeah.
I sorry, I forgot to do it because Stamatis worked so hard to get this here. I don't know if anyone, but Justin's went to me and mine went to Justin. And so Stamatis has been working so hard to get the right certificate here. So that's why he told Justin and I we had to hold them up. And then I forgot.
Thank you, and congratulations. This would be a good time, I guess, to take any questions we have from the chat. Emily, Chloe, do we have any we can take now?
I don't think there are any at the moment that are for the group.
All righty. Well, without further ado, we'll get to the second part of our meeting, the achievement section, the business meeting. Thank you all who were a part of the awards, and we'll move on over. Stamatis, whenever you're ready, you can lead this section. Thank you.
Okay, so in this section, we're going to have several of the board members talk a little bit about our achievements. And my part will be to offer a brief account of the board's response to the COVID-19 crisis. A major responsibility of the NAFAPA board is to support the host of the symposium that takes place at the end of each cycle of service, and to identify a host for the next symposium. Our board had been working on both of these fronts, but the effort was interrupted by the COVID-19 pandemic. After thorough discussions with the host and in cooperation with the International Federation of Adapted Physical Activity, the board decided to cancel this year's symposium, which was to take place at Brock University, as I'm sure you know. The plan for the 2022 symposium was also modified, as Dr. Maureen Connolly offered to still host the symposium at Brock in 2022. So we're all looking forward to reconnecting at Brock in Canada in 2022. We decided, however, that it was appropriate to still offer the 2020 awards that are normally presented during the symposium, except, of course, for the Greg Rigg Student Poster Award, which is for a student poster presented at the symposium. The cancellation of the conference created a gap in NAFAPA activities. And to fill this gap, we seized the opportunity offered by virtual communication and developed some virtual events that are geared primarily towards graduate students. You will hear about these events in a minute from our student representatives who developed them. We hope that you and your students will find these activities enriching. So Byron, back to you.
All righty. So right for the first part, we're going to start with Emily Bremer, Dr. Emily Bremer, who is going to talk about the Student Ambassador Network. Whenever you're ready, Emily.
Great, thanks Byron, thanks Stamatis. So I'm going to talk about the Student Ambassador Program that was developed by Chloe Simpson and I over the past 2 years. So the purpose of the Student Ambassador Program is really to stimulate student engagement in NAFAPA, help to empower students in adapted physical activity to influence NAFAPA initiatives, and provide networking opportunities for students in adapted physical activity. So in the spring of 2019, we put out a call to recruit students into the program, and that resulted in 10 student ambassadors from across North America. So I'd like to take this opportunity to formally recognize our student ambassadors and thank them for their service. So we have Porum Choi from Mississippi State, Kyra Cooper from Ontario Tech, Abby Fines from the University of Virginia, Catherine Holland from Old Dominion University, Kirsten Kerwer from the University of Alberta, Victoria LaRocca from York University, Roxy O'Rourke from the University of Toronto, Matthew Patey from the University of South Carolina, Jocelyn Rajavora from Oregon State University, and Quinn Yang from Texas Women's University. So the student ambassadors have been involved in a number of initiatives since they first got involved in the program. And so these include things like distributing the NAFAPA newsletter on their campus and acting as liaisons between NAFAPA and students back on their home campus. But one of the largest initiatives that they were involved with this cycle was the completion of focus groups on their campus with fellow students in adapted physical activity. in order to help us identify student priorities and ways in which NAFAPA can better serve its student members. So collectively, these focus groups included 45 students in adapted physical activity, the majority of whom were graduate students, but there were a few undergraduate students involved as well. And with these focus groups that were led by the student ambassadors, a number of emerging themes came out of it of how we as an organization of NAFAPA could better support our students. And so this included things like financial support for APA activities, increasing the awareness of NAFAPA. But two of the main priorities were really training opportunities and networking opportunities for students in adapted physical activity. And so in response to these focus groups, the student ambassadors worked together to really generate some priorities that included student training and networking sessions to be held at the NAFAPA Symposium. Given the cancellation of the symposium due to COVID, our ambassadors then worked quickly to help change these into virtual opportunities in order to meet these priorities. So I'm going to hand it over to Chloe Simpson to speak about the student webinar series that was developed in partnership with our student ambassadors in order to meet the needs that were set out as priorities from students across North America in adapted physical activity. So Chloe, over to you.
Thanks, Emily. It's been a really fun 2 years working with you. I'm definitely going to miss you on the board. And thanks to our 10 student ambassadors, they helped us develop and organize the 3 upcoming webinars that are going to be the 3 first Wednesdays of November. So the first 2 webinars are focused on training, and they'll start with guided questions that are prepared by the student ambassadors, and then they'll be opened up to the attendees for question and answers. Though these were developed for students, we encourage all to join. So faculty, practitioners, trainees, and students are all welcome. Our first webinar is going to be November 4th, and it's titled Behind the Scenes, Investigating the Investigators. And our 2 faculty awardees, Dr. Temple and Dr. Hagel, are going to join us for this session. And we're going to aim to look at what happens behind the publication and seek answers to curiosities that we hold as students. So come join if you have any questions for these 2 awardees. The second webinar is From Paper to Practice, Identifying Internal Biases. That's going to be on November 11th, and it's going to feature Dr. Piers from the University of Alberta and Dr. Columna from the University of Wisconsin-Madison. And here we're looking to find answers to address biases that might influence how we do our work in the field of adapted physical activity. And this final session is going to be aimed at that networking theme. So we're hoping to provide a lower stress area for students to meet faculty. So the grand finale social will be on November 18th, and it will be student faculty speed social using Zoom to host rotating breakout rooms to bear students and faculty together. Like I said, I think it's really unique because it takes away the stress of walking up to JK at a conference or a group of faculty. So we hope to see you all there. Again, these are going to be the first 3 Wednesdays of November at noon Central. Please see the links on nafapa.net or in the chat that Emily is popping them into. So I'm going to hand it off to Kristen to talk about the newsletter and Twitter.
Thanks, Chloe. Hi, everybody. I'm Kristen Orr, and on behalf of Stephen Holland and I'm going to be updating you on the newsletter and our Twitter account. So we have published our targeted 3 new newsletters per year. So we have a total of 6 newsletters, with each newsletter highlighting a researcher, student, community program, and providing tips for new scholars, alongside with any relevant events or notices. So we had hoped to provide a diverse range of individuals and groups, and across the 6 newsletters, we have reached 12 Canadian and 10 American contributors. So we developed a system that allowed us to proactively curate the content for the newsletter, and we hope that this will allow the transition to new editors and the newsletter's longevity. So to promote the content of the newsletter, as well as the ongoing notices that come up within NAFAPA and our partnered associations, Stephen and I also created a NAFAPA Twitter account. So we currently have 291 followers, and we also invite everybody here today to follow us if you haven't done so already. You can find us at North America APA. So to date, the Twitter account has promoted events that NAFAPA hosts, collaborates on, or supports with content approved by the board. The goal of the Twitter account is to remain connected to our membership, broaden our reach, and to promote events occurring within the adapted physical activity world. So we look forward to the future of NAFAPA's communications and collaborations in our virtually connected world. Thank you.
Thank you, Kristen. Yumi, would you like to talk about the website management?
Yes. Hi, my name is Yumi. I'm a doctoral student at University of Alabama at Birmingham. I am managing the website overall for all the updates and information in the NAFAPA. The website remains pretty much the same with a big contribution of the previous manager, Byron, but we have a major update for the career center that we can advertise all the job positions for the doctoral student, postdoc, and even the faculty position. So whenever someone sends the information for the open position, and I upload it there, so people can seek job quickly. And another major update would be, of course, the new board member names right now and the award recipient. So these are all updated. If you want it, more than welcome to go back and see your name right now. Yeah. And right now we have a Twitter, as we just heard. So the website is actually Twitter. So I guess people feel more comfortable to have a quick update check in the Twitter. So we connected it recently. And let's see. Yep, that's pretty much it.
Thank you, Yumi.
And yep, thank you.
Thank you, Yumi. Iva, would you like to talk about affiliations?
Thank you. Good morning. I am Eva Obrusnikova from the University of Delaware. I've been serving on the board as a NAFAPA representative to IFAPA since I was elected. Today, I would like to provide you with updates on activities or events from 3 major organizations with whom I communicated or met through the 2 years. The first organization is IFAPA, International Federation of Adaptive Physical Activity. So we met quarterly. There are 3 major updates from the meetings that I would like to bring to this meeting. First, the ISAPA conference 2021 will be held or take place on June 15th through 19th in 2021 at the University of Jyväskylä in Finland. The abstract submission was delayed, the opening or when it's opened for you to submit until December 1. And the deadline for the abstract submission is January 31st, I believe. So the end of January. We also voted, the committee also voted on the location of the next ISAPA conference in 2023. I don't know what the count was, but we voted for the conference to take place in Dunedin in New Zealand. So that will be our next conference, or where the next conference will take place. The second item from IFAPA is the establishment of the South American Federation of Adaptive Physical Activity, SAFAPA. So on Monday, September 29, 2020, the South American regional meeting was held virtually with the IFAPA Board of Directors to introduce the interim board of the South American Federation of Adaptive Physical Activity, SAFAPA. And they introduced us the mission and the representatives for each of the member countries, including Brazil, Chile, and Peru. They will, the presentation of work, proposal, bylaws, logo, and the election of the board members will take place remotely at the International Symposium on Adaptive Physical Activity in San Sebastian in Chile on November 6th through 7th, 2020. And lastly, I communicated also with UCAPA. UCAPA 2020 will be held virtually on October 22nd, 2020. Registration is open, so the link is ucapa2020.com. There's also going to be a business meeting from 6 to 7 p.m. If you're interested to join. And next UCAPA will be in 2022 in Portugal from or on June 9th through 11th, 2022. And I believe that's all from me. I'll turn it back.
Thank you, Iva. I put the links in the chat for everyone to follow up on. But before we move on to the next section, I'd certainly like to give a special thanks to all of the board. This was a truly, I've been on this board for a few cycles now, and this was truly remarkable amount of work that the board put forward this cycle. So I'd just like to give a special thanks to Emily, Chloe, Kristen, Yumi, and Iva. You guys accomplished a lot of things, and I would definitely like to remind everyone in this meeting to really try to take advantage of the networking opportunities and learning opportunities, such as the webinars coming up in November. But without further ado, we'll get to the modification of the bylaws, which we spent a considerable amount of time on this cycle. Stamatis, if you'd like to.
Byron, are there any comments up to this point? Is there anybody who would like to say anything, and they have any comments? Just wondering.
So far in the chat, it's clean, and
I see that Jeff Broadhead is on the meeting. I cannot imagine Jeff without a voice. So good to have Jeff. Okay, so we can continue with the next item on the agenda for today, which is the incorporation of the mission and vision statements. Again, if at any point you would like to make comments, please use the chat area and we will try to respond. At the beginning of our cycle of service, Dr. Obruchnikova pointed out to the board that our bylaws have no mission and vision statements. As the representative to affiliate organizations, she asked the reasonable question, how do we approach and work with other organizations if we don't have a mission and vision to share? In response, our board had thorough discussions, formed a committee, and pursued the development of mission and vision statements. The process was very thorough, with several rounds of comments and edits to drafts, first within the board. Then we received feedback from all NAFAPA past presidents. Using this feedback, the internal committee made further modifications and presented first to the board and then to all NAFAPA members options for mission and vision. Members then voted electronically on the options that were put forward. And the mission and vision statements that our members selected as best options are on the agenda for today's meeting. Again, I wanted to say that if there are any questions or comments about these statements, please use the chat area. I will read these statements now. Mission. The mission of NAFAPA is to advance scientific inquiry and the creation, dissemination, and application of knowledge in adapted physical activity. The mission has scientific inquiry at the core, but also implies that the creation of knowledge is broader. Vision. An adapted physical activity field that ensures equitable opportunities for meaningful participation in physical activity, sport, and exercise for individuals experiencing disability across the lifespan. So this vision statement focuses on equity and participation. It also uses person-first disability terminology and uses disability as an experience. Again, Byron, I want to ask you here if we have any comments. We can take a minute for members to write comments if they have comments.
No comments yet.
Okay, so I would like to ask you at this point to vote on whether you approve or disapprove the incorporation of these statements into the NAFAPA bylaws. You will see in a minute on your screens the mission statement. Please respond to the poll on whether you approve or disapprove.
I just submitted the poll. Give everyone a couple minutes to fill this out.
Mm-hmm.
How many total attendees do we have? 51. So far, we have about 80% of people who have voted. We'll give everyone one more minute to vote. There might be some people who are AFK in the chat. We're at 90% of the total vote. Okay, it looks like we can conclude this poll. We have 94% of the total vote, all voted to approve. Motion to approve.
Okay. So now the vision statement. Please respond to the poll.
Hello, Kwok. Yes, all attendees are eligible to vote. Sorry, Mr. Comment. Good to see you.
We're very happy to have attendees from Europe. I noted earlier a student or someone interested in a postdoc maybe from Nigeria.
We'll give about 30 more seconds. We have about 88% of the total vote. And we'll give maybe a few more seconds for someone to type in the chat if they have any disagreements, which we will consider. No. Okay, well, I believe we can end it there. We have 45 voted to approve, 1 voted to disapprove. I'll end the poll and take record of that.
Okay, so we therefore approve the incorporation of these mission and vision statements into the bylaws. Thank you, Byron. Byron, could we move to the next item on the agenda, please?
You got it. Okay, so looking forward, we're going to introduce the newer board members and say our goodbyes to the, I guess, myself and the past or current board members. Please take it away, Simone.
Okay, thank you, Byron. So I would like to acknowledge here the departing NAFAPA board members and welcome the new ones. Over the last 2 years, I was very fortunate to collaborate on the board with a great team of individuals who worked hard to advance our organization. Heidi Stanish served as officer of NAFAPA for 8 years as secretary, president-elect, president, and past president. Heidi is an exceptional scientist, as her achievements reveal, but she's also a great colleague who enjoys sharing her tremendous experience, positive thinking, and great sense of humor. Heidi, thank you for everything you've done for NAFAPA over the last 8 years. Our departing secretary, Byron Lai, first served as student representative prior to being elected secretary. Byron effectively and efficiently organized all of our activities, as you could witness here today. Thank you, Byron. Thank you, Eva Albrusnikova, for facilitating our affiliations primarily with IFAPA, but also with other organizations. And thank you for your numerous contributions to all of our discussions. Our student representatives were simply fantastic. There are 5 of the most talented young scholars in our field. Emily Bremer and Chloe Simpson successfully developed and delivered our student ambassador program and the virtual student activities that they spoke about earlier. Yumi Kim managed and improved our website, and Christine Orr and Stephen Holland brought new ideas to our newsletter, tripling the number of issues per year. Stephen and Kristen also gave us active presence on the social media. So therefore, many thanks to our student reps. I hope you like my rhyme. And finally, thank you to J.K. Yoon, who offered his vast knowledge and skills as president-elect, and of course, his witty sense of humor. J.K. will lead us as president for the next 2 years, and I will stay on the board for another 2 years as past president. Now I would like to welcome the newly elected members of the board. Dr. Justin Hegel is our new president-elect and will serve on the board for 6 years as president-elect, president, and past president. Dr. Shannon Rinkeback from Arizona State University will be our new secretary. Dr. Nicole Kirk from the University of Georgia will serve as representative to affiliate organizations. Roxy O'Rourke from the University of Toronto and Kristen Morgan from Southeastern Louisiana University, the North and the South, are our new student representatives. And Yumi Kim from the University of Alabama at Birmingham and Chloe Simpson, doctoral student at West Virginia University, were elected to serve another 2 years as student representatives. A warm welcome to our new board members. I'm very confident that NAFAPA will make significant steps forward in the next 2 years. Thank you very much. Byron, back to you.
Yep. Thank you, Stamatis. So now we're going to get to Dr. Maureen Connolly, and she's going to talk about NAFAPA Symposium 2022, which is we were anticipating to have this cycle, but I'll let her speak more to that.
Well, thanks everyone, and it's still our pleasure to host NAFAPA in 2022 at Brock University. I can tell you the dates that we will be using in 2022. It will be October 11th, 12th, and 13th. So that's a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We would like to keep our theme of communities of practice, and we would like to keep some of the elements that we'd already been planning for 2020, which was actively soliciting some gymnasium sessions from people who wanted to submit them. We definitely want to engage you in all the beer and wine that the Niagara region has to offer. And October is a pretty good time to drive around and experience beer and wine in Niagara. So we've got some good social activities set up for you. The campus is well equipped. We have a market that can serve food and host the poster session. We have a lovely atrium that is finally finished in the front of our institution for other kinds of events. And Momentum Choir, which is a choir composed entirely of individuals with intellectual disabilities, will be one of our performance guests. So we're really looking forward to having you in Niagara. Obviously, as we get closer to the event, we'll be sending out a notice, a call for papers. Lucky for us, we had everything in place. We had a review committee. We have a website set up. We had everything set. So it's just a matter of moving our clock 2 years forward. We still have a great committee that wants to stay involved. And yeah, we're excited about hosting you at Brock University in October 2022. I'm glad that you allowed us to keep our bid active for an extra 2 years. Our borders are still closed, so it would have been an adventure to try to have you here this October, but we're optimistic that 2022 will see us in better shape for face-to-face and interactions closer than 6 feet. So yes, more to come. And yeah, thanks for supporting us in our bid.
Thank you, Maureen. And special thank you to your team who put so much effort into setting up for the one we thought was going to happen this cycle, but not only that, adapting for the next cycle. So we truly appreciate all that effort. And I think I speak for everyone in saying that I look forward to, going into Brock University and having that beer. So, looking forward to
Yeah,
that.
we're looking forward to hosting you.
Awesome. Okay, moving on to the next piece. Dr. Jun Koo Yoon is our coming in president. We'll talk about directions for the next cycle. Great, guy.
Thank you. As I start today, I have been involving with 20, 26, 27, once you got the more than 10, I cannot count anymore, but it has been some years. And before we talking about directions, I want to really thanks to the Heidi Stanish who will be stepping out as a board member. First time I met the Heidi in, I believe, 1996, a Banff NAFAPA conference. And she was a doctoral student at Oregon State. It was the first time I met. So it has been a while, I known her. And I really appreciated her leadership there. NAFAPA early president did, a lot of a setting and groundwork, but, I perceiving as a NAFAPA as an organization really pushing to the Heidi Stanish and Sue Cassers, and there are a few other people really making it, but last 4 years, we made a significant their jump from there almost no exist. So she actually creating the 503C status, 503B status, which is in the United States is a nonprofit organization status, and we'll be looking for how to set it up. A Canadian, the nonprofit organization status there. And also she was implementing too, actually, the membership fee, and it did not really happen as we intend, but as a reorganization really realized that without some fund, it is very difficult to moving forward. So we'll definitely discussing whether what we need to be do and how we supporting it. So those activities will be we'll discussing it. in the future. So I want to, going back to Heidi's accomplishment and contribution, I really appreciate it. I want to offer my hands to Heidi, but nobody can hear right now and nobody can clap. So thank you. Also, so STEMATIS, I known STEMATIS was 2002, 2001. I don't know. It is a long time. And then we happen to have as a faculty and doctor-student relationship, and then we, moving to our colleague relationship. And I really learned a lot from STEMATIS to running the program, and really suggestively leading to a lot of initiative, their student ambassador initiative. Newsletter has been actually never been I never counting when newsletters coming in before STEMATIS, but this, last 2 years, student worker, the student representatives, Steve and Emily really pushing for the newsletters and, be able to counting on regular newsletters. I really wanted to thank you for their effort, and especially thank you for the STEMATIS effort to leading all those initiatives. And next 2 years, like I'll be president, and sometime I wonder why did I run for this presidency? Maybe I was a drunk before too much put my name put on it. I don't remember, but now I need to be running it. And then what I really want to doing is some of you guys know I took a administration position in recent years, and the lessons I really learned is not the direction. What I said may not be that important. The direction, what members and what each member is setting is much important, because we need to be in power, and we need to be self-driven organization as each member's contributing it and making directions where we're going to go the next 2 years and next many years as an advocacy activity. So, we're really trying to open to some communication, system open. And this is the odd year. This is the first time we had a actually NAFAPA conference, biannual conference. So, I want to have some drinking beer with the people and talking about how we're going to build the next 2 years as a NAFAPA, but we do not have that opportunity. So we'll definitely try to increasing our communications through some newsletters, social medias, websites, and as well as some email exchanges programs. So, I really want to encourage each of you guys to participate in or invested in NAFAPA as your main organization. Otherwise, we're not able to accomplishing further. And I really wanted to thank you for today's participation, and I really looking forward to working each of you with you for the next 2 years. Thank you.
Thank you, JK. This will definitely be an exciting cycle coming up. I want to conclude this meeting, but first off, a special thank you again to all the presidents, Heidi, STEMATIS, JK, and Justin coming in for the next cycle after. Your service is truly welcomed and appreciated. And a special thanks to STEMATIS, who really kept everyone on their toes this cycle. I know it was a lot of emails coming from him and myself, but thank you, STEMATIS, again for your leadership. A lot was accomplished this cycle. But otherwise, thank you everyone for coming. If there's no comments or questions, we all look forward to the Symposium 2022. We will certainly have that beer. But otherwise, thank you again for coming.